So this is part 2 of my little mini series on zinnias. Today we're going to talk about how to actually grow this most amazing cut flower. First up, you're going to have to trust me a little bit. Everywhere that you read will pretty much say to direct sow, as in like directly sow the seeds into the prepared soil and grow them that way. It'll say that they don't like to have their roots disturbed, and transplanting them from something like a tray to the ground is not recommended, and to just direct sow. But I'm going to tell you, you might have to trust me. You can still do that, that's amazing, but the way that I do it is that I disobey all of those rules, and this way you come into the summer season where the zinnias love well ahead of time with everything prepped beforehand, and you're going to have a much longer season, and you also won't have to worry about slugs and snails eating seedlings as they're coming out of the ground, and weeds developing while your seedling's still starting to grow up and that sort of thing. Like, I just find personally that this is the way that works best for me, so you know, take what I say with a grain of salt. But first up, what you do is you want to source your containers. So these little 6 tray ones that you get from garden centres with seedlings in them are my favourite size to grow in for a zinnia. So you can get like smaller ones, obviously larger ones. These will be good too, but they'll take up more soil and we want to reduce the costs. So this is the one that I'd recommend. You can go and buy stuff, guys, but honestly we're all about growing great flowers and we don't have to spend a lot of money. So I would like put a shout out to your friends on Facebook or whatever, or even on a local notice board. Do you have any spare seedling, you know, lying around? And people have tons of them, because most people do purchase things in a seedling form from a garden centre, which is absolutely fine. I sometimes do that too, it's all good, whatever works, but they'll just have heaps lying around, so you may as well utilise that and reduce, reuse, recycle, all that sort of stuff. So get your hands on this size. Okay, the next little hack is that you kind of think that you want to fill it up with seed raising mix because you're going to grow seeds, and I get that, you could do that. Seed raising mix is really fine, it's specially designed so it's got like little chunks of stuff, and it's very free draining because you don't want the seed to rot in there before it's even had a chance to germinate and take off. But what I do, and I learned this from my very special friend Jen, and now I'm going to share this with you. In case you didn't know, you probably did, but what I do is I fill it mostly with potting mix. First up, go to wherever shop you want to buy your supplies from. Like, it just depends what you want to support. You can get very budget things, you might support a particular brand, you might want New Zealand, you might want to support your local garden centre, whatever it is. However you're going to do this, purchase potting mix. Then what you want to do is you want to get your seed raising mix, again whatever brand you choose, and wearing mask and gloves, you want to just sprinkle a little bit over the top. So it's mostly potting mix underneath, and then you're going to just top it up with a nice decent layer of seed raising mix on the top. So zinnias are a seed that doesn't need light to germinate, so you're going to get the seed and you're going to bury it kind of like 2 times the size of it. They're kind of a longer, thinner seed. I'll show you in the screen, but just bury it like a couple of times deep. So I just dig a little hole in there like that, pop the seed in, and then cover it up, and you're good to go. Now, some seeds actually need light to germinate, which I also didn't know when I first started gardening, and so you don't even bury them, but don't worry about that, zinnias do, so just follow those instructions and you'll be all good. Then we're going to give them a little bit of water, and we want to place them somewhere where rain's not going to go over them, where they're not going to dry out, but they're not going to be too wet either. So obviously I have my greenhouse, my beautiful Murray field. You don't have to have one. It took me many years for us to save up for this, and I did this before I was able to get a greenhouse. So use whatever you've got, maybe like a patio, a carport, even a kitchen window. You could set up a table in front of a window. I've done that before. Husband really loved it. I set up like entire tables in the lounge. Whatever it takes. Next step, they're going to take about probably 4 to 8 days ish to germinate, and then they're going to grow pretty fast. So these guys are ready to plant out. You can keep them in there as long as you've done the potting mix thing underneath. And the reason why you do that is because you want, once they've grown little roots, you want them to have some sustenance and something to feed on. So that's why their roots are going to go down deep, and they're going to have beautiful potting mix full of nutrients to help them develop into strong plants. 4 to 6 weeks they're going to be in here. So when they're in the position that you've found in your house or wherever to keep them, you need to rotate them. So they're going to get quite big quite fast, and you don't want them to start reaching for the sun, which they need, and then sort of bending over. You want them to be able to find the sun, because if they can't, they kind of go weak and thin, and they won't turn into substantial seedlings enough to develop into a plant. So each day, or even every second day, life gets busy, right? You just want to turn it. Keep an eye on them. You'll see, like you'll easily start to see when they start to bend towards the light, and then flip it in the opposite direction. Or, you know, if you notice they're not quite bending directly over, just do like a quarter-way turn, that sort of thing. So, like I said, these are a summer flower. They will get killed by a frost. We want to plant them out after the risk of frost. So we're going to keep these beautiful seedlings safe indoors in that position that we've chosen until such a time, but I will say something in a minute. Once the risk of frost is gone, we're going to plant them out into a full sun position. They absolutely love the sun, and space them probably about 20 centimeters apart, and pop some tui quash around so that they definitely don't get annihilated by any slugs or snails, as they're just developing that little bit more, and then they're just good to go. And it's so easy. What I was going to say, which take this also with a grain of salt, but the way that I get zinnias really early in the season is by doing this, and then I do wait for risk of frost to have passed for a lot of my crop. But a lot of my crop, I take a sort of educated guess when it's getting to the stage that it could be the last frost, but we might get that last sneaky one. And I take an educated guess, and I look at the forecast, and I take a bit of a punt, and I plant out before. And yeah, like I say, yeah, only do that if you are prepared to take a risk. But what that does is it elongates my season even longer, because I'm getting them out. I've got them prepared earlier, I'm getting them planted out earlier. Yeah, so they're going to be flowering earlier, and my season is going to be longer, because they'll go and go and go right up until the first frosts take them out, or they get powdery mildew, which they don't really do until the very end when they're going to be taken out anyway. So that's my little hack. So as for when you're going to start the seeds, you know that they're going to be in here for about 4 to 6 weeks before you plant them out, and you also know not to plant them out, unless you're me, before the last frost. So what you do is you count back. In your area, it's going to look different for everyone wherever you are. You count back when your last frost date is. Say I'm in rural Te Puke, and ours is approximately the end of September-ish, maybe even early October for a sneaky one. I will count back 4 to 6 weeks from that date, and that's when I will begin to sow my seeds. I'm just going to check my notes to see if there's anything else I forgot to tell you, because I really don't want to eat it too much. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'll put some pictures up on the screen. I probably will edit this and put some along the way as I'm speaking about the particular things, but Also to add, if you see some of my pictures and I have zinnias in a netted row, these absolutely would not need netting unless you're in a really windy area. They'll be fine. It's just that my flower farm is set up with a lot of netted areas, so they just happen to be going in that season in a netted area. But yeah, absolutely don't need that at home. Like I say, they'll be so fine. They are so strong. I'll go and show you actually at the end of this my deceased terrible looking zinnias, because it's now autumn and they're still in the ground because I don't tend to pull stuff out until I'm ready to plant stuff in a little bit before I amend the soil. So they're all still there, and you'll see how tall they are, how ugly they are at the moment. But yeah, they're very strong, that you'll just be amazed. So thank you for listening. If you did miss episode 1 of this little mini series, I spoke there about why I think zinnias are great as a cut flower, and why I think if you were only ever going to grow one flower, the qualities that would make it my number one choice, all about that. So if you missed that, I'll link it so you can go back and watch that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. I really hope I'm encouraging you to give zinnias a go, because they are honestly so beautiful. And yeah, I think you'll just love them. I look forward to catching you in episode 3. What have I got coming up? I'm going to talk varieties, and I'm going to talk little tricks and tips to make sure that you get tons and tons and tons and tons of flowers all season long, and a few other little things that I won't tell you because we've got to keep some surprises right. But yeah, it's going to be good. Thank you so much, guys. See ya. So as you can see, they are tall, but they're really a strong plant, so you don't need to net them at all. Terrible way. They look so bad.